This is a post from r/Askreddit. Parents of Reddit, what are your kids currently attempting to hide from you? She's slowly been collecting pens and hiding them in her toys. So far, no coloring outside of paper and coloring books, though. So I'm letting her get away with it. R/fountain pens is leaking. Or, maybe this is how it starts. If the pens are leaking, you are going to have a bad time. There's a running joke among that community that fountain pens are just controlled leaks. It's technically capillary action, but I digress. I mean, that doesn't seem particularly untrue. A few years ago, I was going through my son's, 3rd grade, backpack and found a can of ravioli. That's all well, except I never bought any ravioli. When I asked him about it, he burst into tears and pulled out a box under his bed filled with ravioli. He then proceeded to tell me how this girl that picks on him and says they are married gives him ravioli every day and makes him take it. I can just picture this girl's mother telling her the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I'm now picturing a 3rd grader forcing ravioli on another 3rd grader. We like to call her the burping ravioli girl. He was so mad one day because she got in his face and burped. I tried telling him that in some countries that is marriage vows. He was not happy. Can I come to the wedding? Of course. We will be having an open Chef Boyardee bar. My favorite. When I was a teen I came home stoned at least once a week and felt like the beat actor ever after talking to my mom for like 20 minutes while assuming she didn't notice. When I was 20 she asked me if I stopped smoking weed because she really enjoyed our stoned conversations. Sounds like my mom. I would come home so baked and thought it was great that I could fool her and she would always offer me food/snacks. Found out a few years later she smokes too and knew when I would come home high. Must be nice parents. All my parents said was that it was bad and I'll end up a loser. Hey, mine told me I'd be a junkie like the rest of my family, lol. Mine said both and look at me now. I'm a loser at the very least. They're missing out. I can see the small camera motions in TV shows when they're focusing on a character. I just found out that my 6-year-old locks the bathroom door so he can get some privacy. Last night I looked across the kitchen to see the door slightly ajar and my son engaging in his private time. Doing push-ups. I didn't say anything, just watched him finish his 5 reps, flex in the mirror and then walk out of the bathroom. Edit. Okay, the indoor rock climbing is seriously calling out to me. Thanks for the suggestions everyone. Get him some light dumbbells, stat. It's a huge confidence booster to feel strong and have a positive body image. I was thinking this, too. Do you think 5s are more than enough? I don't want to have him injure himself while his musculature and skeleton are still forming, you know? 5s are plenty for his age. He is a wee laddie after all. Also the whole stunting growth with weightlifting thing is a myth. Unless he's trying to squat 300 at age 10 with a body weight of 60 pounds that might do it due to the whole forcing his spine out through his tailbone thing. I kid, but really weightlifting won't hurt him as long as you show him how to do things properly. If he has fun with it, it could get him set on the path for a healthy habit when he gets older. Then you can brag to all your friends/coworkers about how your son is fucking jacked. My daughter throws her lettuce under the table for the dog to eat. The dog doesn't like lettuce. Your kitchen floor might need some cleaning at this point in time. Imagine just a giant mountain of lettuce on the floor and the kid says I don't know how that got there. Sounds like an Adam Sandler movie. So incredibly accurate. Teach me your ways. Son, 7, ate half my bag of gummy bears. I know. He knows I know. I know he knows I know. I don't think he knows I know he knows I know. So now we wait until he cracks. Update, son confessed to crime at 7:43 p.m. tonight. My brain.exe crashed while reading this. You need to go watch Friends more often. That's what I thought too. My daughter is trying to impress me by learning origami. She's 7 and doesn't think that dad can see all the missing paper and the, messily but improving a lot, paper cranes hidden throughout her room. I bought 2 more reams of paper and just left them out on accident. Lazy old dad not putting up his office supplies. There is paper made special for origami that might help her. Plus it is usually really pretty. I think Amazon should have some for cheap. Wow, thank you kind Redditors for the silvers. If anyone else is passionate about the arts and supporting kids' creativity, find your local art classes and donate supplies. Art in underprivileged communities isn't a priority, but it can immensely help kids find ways to express themselves safely. Classrooms are always in need of art supplies to help them do that. I will place an order now, smile, thank you. You're a great parent. There are big packs of double-sided normal color origami paper, and for special occasions there's a slightly more expensive type of paper, like red with gold accents, or straight gold/silver shiny paper. Also for a challenge, there's mini origami paper. When I was younger my parents got me this origami calendar. It came with one sheet of origami paper and instructions for a piece of origami to complete that day, example, March 24th, instructions for snake, and then a pretty piece of paper to rip off and complete. I rarely used it cause I was never into origami, but you should try to find one of those for her. It's great for a Christmas present. So she has the whole year to do one. And practice. My 2-year-old dropped out Echo Dot and split into 2 pieces. She attempted to sandwich it back together and put it back where it was, but now says stuff like Alexa play Mickey Mouse, and then when nothing happens she says, oh Alexa, what happened? You know damn well what happened and it's happened. I often wonder if that's a sign of excellent intelligence or a sociopath in development, lol. Covering your tracks and gaslighting your parents is complex stuff for a 2-year-old. Lying is a good sign of intelligence. It shows forethought and understanding consequences. Just this morning, a friend of mine told me he saw my 17-year-old son picking cigarette butts out of the ashtray at a gas station. So in one moment, I learned not only that my son is smoking cigarettes, but that he's a goddamn scrub as well. Not sure how to handle it, to be honest. Offer to buy him nicotine gum/patches and offer help to slowly wean off those. If he acts defensive, say I'm not mad and you aren't in trouble, but if you don't pick one of these options and continue digging used butts out of the tray at the gas station, then you will be in trouble. You will have herpes. Fixed it for you. That's the trouble. That they are not tired, despite the usual crying and making you feel terrible until they shut their eyes and 30 seconds later asleep. Parenting's a fucking whirlwind of emotions. Man, I'm going through a sleep regression with my, almost, 3-year-old now. This right here. I put him to bed, we do our routine. No sooner than I shut the door I hear the crocodile tears. Yelling he needs a drink of water, which I left on the nightstand next to him, and gave him a sip before I left. I tell him this. Do you want to come have a drink with me, Daddy? I tell him he's a big kid and he can do it. He goes and does it. Comes back to the door. Do you want to give me a hug, Daddy? This is where he know he's got me and I've got to be strong. I can't say no, I don't want to give you a hug, but at the same time, I know that if I go in there I am fostering his procrastination, and tell him I gave him a hug before we went to bed and I'll give him another when I get home from work. Say good night, Daddy, when I go to bed? Okay kiddo, I'll say good night once you get into bed. Repeat again 3 minutes later for an hour before he starts saying he needs to use the potty. Like, no shit, you've downed that entire bottle of water. I have 2-year-old. There are more sleep regressions? And again at 16 when they start trying to sneak out of the house to go to a party. By sneak out do you mean stay up all night in bed watching YouTube? By sneak out do you mean stare at the ceiling for an hour before going to sleep? When my son was 5 he stashed a bunch of blueberries under his pillow for later. Problem is, not only did they get squished night 1, but he forgot about them until we changed his sheets a few days later. Ugh. Death. We had a foster kid that hid about 2 handfuls of spaghetti with sauce under his pillow. Found it the next day while he was at school. Got it cleaned up. Never told him we found it. Made sure to have spaghetti twice a week thereafter. I've heard of foster parents that keep mini fridges with food in the kids' room to help them with anxiety. On one of the foster parents, what do you suggest to new foster parents? Threads, there was a family where the foster kid came from a food insecure situation. After the first time that they caught him sneaking food, like an apple or something he thought he wasn't allowed to have, they decided to do something different. They went to the kitchen and opened up the pantry, fridge, freezer, everything. And said that as long as 1, you don't keep it in your room to rot, and 2, you don't make yourself sick, then you are allowed to have any food at any time. The kid would test this rule, and get like an entire plate of leftovers right before dinner. 5 apples at 3 a.m. Cans of pumpkin pie filling. All sorts of weird combinations. Every time the parents would have a knee-jerk reaction of a fucking course not. We're about to have dinner, but before they actually said that, they would remember, and let him do his thing. Eventually he realized that they really meant it, and he started having more typical food habits, not dictated by anxiety. Thanks for the gold, But before anyone else thinks that they should spend money on this, please instead find a way to get resources to kids in food insecure households. They need love and food, and one of the barriers to those is money. Don't waste your money on me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Experimental Journeys.